It feels like NASCAR just refuses to give us a quiet week. Every time we think the storm has passed, something else hits that makes you stop, rewind, and go, "Wait, what just happened?" And this time, it's not small. This is the kind of stuff that affects the sport's identity, the garage atmosphere, and honestly, how we look at the future of NASCAR. There are legends involved, there's tradition on the line, and there's unfinished business that clearly isn't going away anytime soon. If you're a real fan, the kind who watches every lap, argues about playoff scenarios, and still gets chills on the final restart, then you're going to want to hear this. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to NASCAR Nation Report, and help us reach our first goal of 5,000 subscribers. This channel is brand new, and it's built for real NASCAR fans who live and breathe this sport. All right, let's talk about what just went down. First off, we witnessed a genuinely special moment for the sport this weekend with the newest NASCAR Hall of Fame class. Kurt Busch, Harry Gant, and Ray Hendrick are officially enshrined. And honestly, all three absolutely deserve their flowers. Let's start with Kurt Busch. 34 Cup Series wins, a Cup Series championship, a Daytona 500 trophy. That resume speaks loud. And what always stood out to me about Kurt wasn't just the numbers, it was the impact. Everywhere he went, the program improved. Phoenix Racing? Better. Furniture Row Racing? Elevated. Chip Ganassi Racing? More competitive. Even at 23 FCAS Racing late in his career, he helped legitimize that organization fast. Yeah, we all remember the off-track controversies. He needed second chances, more than one. But when it came to pure driving talent, there was never a question. Kurt Busch was elite, period. Then there's Harry Gant, the Bandit. 18 Cup Series wins, no championship. But here's the thing, he still holds the record as the oldest winner in NASCAR Cup Series history. That's not a small footnote. That's a forever distinction. And seeing him healthy, present, able to enjoy that moment, that hit differently. That's what the Hall of Fame should be about. And Ray Hendrick going in as well, a legend in modified racing, just rounds out a class that feels right. But here's where the conversation gets uncomfortable. For years, there was this unofficial benchmark, 25 Cup Series wins. That felt like the magic number. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had 26 when he got voted in. Carl Edwards had 28. That line made sense. It separated the great from the very good. But NASCAR inducts new members every single year. It used to be 5 annually. Now it's 3, 2 from the modern era ballot and 1 from other categories. And because the classes keep coming, that benchmark keeps drifting. Ricky Rudd got in with 23 wins and no championship. Jeff Burton made it with 21 wins and no title. Now Harry Gant is in with 18 wins and no championship. Now, let me be clear, every one of those guys had something unique. Rudd's longevity and Ironman streak were incredible. Burton has done outstanding work in broadcasting and leadership. Gant has that oldest winner record nobody's touching. But the bar is undeniably lowering. And if it keeps lowering, where does it stop? Here's the wild part. William Byron currently has 16 career wins, 2 Daytona 500 trophies. No championship yet. He's a fantastic driver with a huge future. But based on current trends, if he retired tomorrow, he'd probably be on track for eventual Hall of Fame consideration. And that just feels off. The NASCAR Hall of Fame should represent the absolute best the sport has ever produced. Not the very good, not the pretty great, the legends, the drivers who defined eras. Maybe NASCAR needs something like baseball's Hall of Very Good, a separate tier for outstanding careers that didn't quite reach legendary status. Now, maybe this balances itself out over time. Eventually, guys like Martin Truex Jr. will hit the ballot, and he's unquestionably a worthy Hall of Famer. That kind of resume resets the standard. But if the line keeps sliding, that's a problem. The Hall should mean something rare, something elite. All right, let's pivot, and this one hurts. Throwback Weekend at Darlington, as we've known it for the past decade, is officially dead. Bob Pockrass confirmed with Nascar that teams will no longer be asked to run official throwback paint schemes for the March Darlington race. The rumors were true. Darlington will still celebrate history. There'll be parades, former drivers, tribute appearances, and teams can still choose to run throwback schemes if they want. But it's no longer the focal point, and that's disappointing. Throwback Weekend was fun. It was creative. It gave the spring Darlington race an identity. We all looked forward to it, judging the paint schemes, debating which ones nailed it, roasting the ones that missed. Don't lie, we love doing that. But here's the business reality. Big sponsors pay millions for brand recognition. Asking them to change their colors and visual identity for one weekend? That's a tough sell. Even if logos stay intact, you're still adjusting branding. And for corporate marketing departments, that's complicated. Still, there were ways to keep the spirit alive. Lean into vintage design styles. 70s fonts, 80s layouts. Let drivers and crews dress in retro gear. There are creative compromises that don't completely rebrand the car. Because here's the issue. What's the identity of the spring Darlington race now? The Southern 500 in September? That's a crown jewel. Iconic. Legendary. One of the pillars of the schedule. The spring race has always felt like the awkward little brother living in the shadow of that September classic. It's the same problem spring Bristol has. It's forever overshadowed by the Bristol night race. They even put dirt on Bristol for a couple seasons, just trying to give it something unique. So hopefully, and I mean hopefully, teams and sponsors still lean into the throwback spirit voluntarily. Because that weekend gave personality to a race that desperately needed it. Now, let's talk about the main event. Richard Childress finally spoke publicly for the first time since the antitrust trial back in December. And he is still heated. For anyone who forgot, that trial got ugly. Really ugly. Leaked text messages from NASCAR executives surfaced. Former NASCAR president Steve Phelps allegedly referred to Childress as a stupid redneck and an idiot. Those texts became public during the trial. That's not just business disagreement, that's personal, but it didn't stop there. During the trial, NASCAR attorneys revealed that Richard Childress only owns 60% of Richard Childress Racing. The other 40% is owned by a New York investment group. They also brought up evidence that Childress had explored selling his stake in the team. When that came out, Childress snapped on the witness stand. He demanded to know how they obtained that information because it was supposed to be under an NDA. Eventually, the lawsuit settled. 23X Racing, Front Row Motorsports, and NASCAR reached an agreement. But here's what never got clarified. How did NASCAR obtain that confidential RCR ownership information? And what consequences, if any, will follow? In his recent interview, Childress said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that if he told you what he really thinks, it would have to be bleeped out. He called the attacks personal, and then he said something that stuck with me. I'm like an old elephant. You don't forget. That doesn't sound like a man who's over it. So now the question becomes, does Richard Childress pursue legal action over those personal text messages? Is that enough to justify a lawsuit? Because if he does, this story isn't close to finished. And here's what this all means for NASCAR right now. You've got the Hall of Fame debate questioning standards and legacy. You've got Darlington losing an identity that fans genuinely loved. And you've got a legendary team owner still publicly angry over how he was treated during a legal battle that exposed some serious internal tension. This is not a quiet, stable moment for the sport. But in a strange way, it's also proof of how alive NASCAR still is. Passion, conflict, tradition, business pressure, legacy debates. It's all part of it. And as fans, we care. Because we want this sport to thrive. We want the Hall to mean something. We want races to feel special, and we want respect inside that garage. So, now I'm asking you, where do you stand? Is the Hall of Fame bar getting too low? Are you disappointed about Throwback Weekend? And should Richard Childress take this further legally? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to hear where this fan base stands. If you enjoyed this breakdown and you like honest, passionate NASCAR talk, hit that like button. Subscribe to NASCAR Nation Report. We're brand new and we're pushing toward our first goal of 5,000 subscribers. If you're a real NASCAR fan who wants real conversation, you're in the right place. I'll see you in the next one.